Well, good evening and very early morning, everyone. Welcome to Crypto Tonight special series Talk to Chun, episode 1, Crypto in Korea. My name is Yama, and it's my great pleasure to be a host tonight. 안녕하세요. So to start with, please join me welcoming our 5 fantastic guests of tonight. First, brief introduction. Start with Chun, the co-founder of Afterpool and CEO of Stakefish. Chun, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chun, and I have been Bitcoin ordinals, and first I discovered Bitcoin in 2011 and on Slashdot, and because I was a contributor to SETI at Home projects, so I almost immediately started to mine Bitcoin, and I mined Bitcoin from 2011 to 2013 for 2 years. After that, because it was GPU mining, after like in 2013, ASICs were introduced into this space, and the GPU mining became impossible. So I switched. I couldn't switch my GPU farm to my other cryptocurrencies, so I switched to full operating. So I can't say I am still a Bitcoin miner, but still we are still generating new Bitcoins. So yeah, so welcome to Crypto Tonight with Yama.
Yeah, so Afterpool is actually the largest mining pool today. I'm always ranked #1, but sometimes like #2, but still like top 2.
Actually, yesterday, so maybe the largest yesterday. I didn't. It's space changing so fast.
It changes. Today #1, tomorrow probably #2. Okay, thank you, Chun. So how's your life in Seoul? Still enjoying walking along the river?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Yes, I did, but until a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention that Stakefish website is actually also built on IPFS. So I guess that's why probably sometimes it's a little bit slow. Okay, thank you, Chun.
We tried our best to use all the blockchain related projects. So that's why we choose IPFS. Okay. And we also build our own IPFS gateway to accelerate the website access.
Nice, thank you, Chun. Okay, thanks. Now, next moving on to Do, the co-founder and CEO of Terra.
Hi guys, I'm Do. As Yama introduced, I am one of the co-founders of Terra. So at Terra, we create a family of stablecoins that are pegged to different types of currencies. So we have the Korean won pegged stablecoin, USD, IMF SDR, and then so on and so forth. Predominantly over the last year, after the network launched, we've been working on payment solutions. So today, we have 3 different payment entities spanning Korea and Mongolia that collectively process about $5 billion in transaction volume run rate on an annualized basis. And that number is growing as we enter new geographies and then we grow our merchant and user bases. Recently, I've been pretty interested in looking at the domain of savings because having a widely used payment service is very good. But at the same time, if you want to, sort of transition users away from fiat currency, then you need to make sure that they have means by which passive income can be generated by holding different types of stablecoins. So I've been predominantly looking into that, and very excited to be here.
Yeah, so you have an investor, HashKey from China. So actually I talked to the CEO of HashKey. So he has been many times on the show. So definitely the Chinese audience are very, excited to learn more about Terra. Thank you, Do. Next, moving on to Yeunjin, co-founder and CTO of Streami, GOPAX exchange.
Well, my name is Yeunjin, and I'm co-founder and CTO of Streami. Streami operates GOPAX, one of the leading crypto exchanges in Korea. And when I was at grad school about 10 years ago, I learned the limits of the existing distributed systems. And I read the Bitcoin white paper in 2014, and it was mind-blowing to me because despite not being perfect, it presented such an elegant and working solution to them. So I was convinced that this will lead to changes in computing paradigm, and this led me to start streaming in 2015.
Nice. So how many Bitcoin did you buy when you read the white paper? And at what price did you sell?
I was more interested in the tech. I didn't really realize that it could just grow in value.
So definitely you missed something. So actually very interesting that I know Yeunjin and Zhao both went to the same high school and later also went to Stanford. And now your paths crossing again in crypto. And as someone who always dreamed to go to Stanford, I have a question for you both, Zhao and Yeunjin. So what's the Stanford motto? Who can tell me?
It's in German. Yeah, it's in like German. Yeah, so I have no idea.
I don't know.
So Yeunjin remembers.
Yeah, I think the English rendering is the wind of freedom blows, but
yes,
obviously that translation is quite unfortunate because
from German. Yes, it's originally from German.
Well, because blows can mean two different things. So. Right.
Okay. So I was supposed to say that I know how to say in German, die Luft der Freiheit wird. But anyway, wow. Thanks. So it's one of my favorite life sentences. So thank you. So next, moving on to Baek, venture at Hash.
Hi, Hash is the most active crypto fund based in Korea, and I focus on venture investments here, and closely work with Do and Joseph here on Klaytn and Terra on our portfolio companies.
Nice, thank you. Baek is actually based in San Francisco, so it's definitely either too early for you to start the day or too late to finish the day. But either way, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. And next, Joseph, Director Market Strategy of Klaytn.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph Hong, Director of Market Strategy of Klaytn. Klaytn is one of the leading blockchain projects in Korea developed by GOPAX, which is the blockchain arm of KakaoTalk in Korea. KakaoTalk is like the WeChat in Korea. We have around 50 million users in Korea for the KakaoTalk Messenger. And for Klaytn, we have a governance council with a lot of reputable big enterprises such as LG Electronics, SK, VNG in Vietnam, Union Bank in the Philippines. We also have Hobby and Binance in our governance council. We also have a lot of different participating enterprises from various industries. Like for cosmetic industry, we have Amole Pacific. For mobile game company, we also have Netmarble and Coconet in our governance council. We just launched Click, which is the digital wallet in KakaoTalk Messenger this month. We got more than 100,000 users on a single day when Click was launched. And it's around 2 weeks since the launching of the Click service, and we have got more than 160,000 users at the moment. The number of users is still increasing. The goal of Klaytn is the mass adoption of blockchain technologies. We aim to become the de facto blockchain platform in Asia. Thank you.
Nice. I think Klaytn and Terra are the most popular and with a really mass adoption these days, at least from Korea. Really, congratulations on your user growth. Thank you. So thank you all. Now moving on to our next session. Chun is usually very curious about things, so he will be asking you a few questions. So are you ready? And Chun, please.
Yeah. So I have a question for Hash and on regulation situation in Korea, because nowadays crypto native is getting weak and regulated crypto is rising. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's very timely for Korean market. Until very recently, crypto was not regulated as an asset in Korea, and we've been working very hard with the governors and the Presidential Advisory Board to guide them on how we should define this as an asset. So in March this year, we were able to pass a bill as amendment in part of the Financial Act. And we are currently working with them continually on the actual execution of what that law would be. First part is obviously the taxation, which should be the main interest of government on how this should be placed in exchanges and other BES. So that's the main area of focus today. And through that, we are seeing some of the positive signs as well. I think when we look at the retail volume or the trading volume or investor volume, in Korean market recently past 2 years, it's been in a slow decrease, mainly due to many of the exchanges stopping the fiat on-ramp and not really seeing the new user inflow into the exchange volumes. But with this law, many of the leading banks are getting more confidence to work with the crypto asset and the crypto asset managers. And we're hoping that this will enable more interactions with the investors, but also with the regulated services in the market today.
Yeah, and what kind of opportunities can you see here?
Yeah, first area that we're seeing biggest progress is definitely the custodian. You know, we saw past 2 years, especially in US markets, that custodians are becoming kind of the wallet of institutions to come into this industry and then experience additional services like yield and lending and others. We are seeing similar progress in Korea, where many of the major banks are working with exchanges to build up that infrastructure and provide additional services on there. And we believe many of the protocols such as Klaytn, Terra, and other picks and shovel providers like wallets and identity providers would benefit a lot from working with them to tap into the mainstream users in Korea.
Nice. Actually, I want to mention something because you mean the first question you mentioned transaction. So I remember German has made a few laws about the crypto tax, as I remember. Yeah. Sorry, Chun, go ahead.
Yeah. So next, I have a question for maybe GOPAX and Yeunjin. And what do you think are your advantage over this? I mean, competing exchanges here like Upbeat and Bisa?
What makes GOPAX unique in Korea is twofold, namely different vision and dedication to it. We're trying to build a financial market infrastructure out of cryptocurrencies. To this end, especially when users are not directly interacting with blockchains at this stage, I think it's crucial to have reliable and trustworthy service provider for them. So we are after users' trust, not after short-term money. And we have been taking serious actions to gain users' trust over the last 3 years. We were the very first to obtain security certifications like ISO 27001 and ISMS. And we have never been indicted for user deposit or information leakage due to hacking, unlike other major exchanges in Korea you mentioned. And this might surprise you a lot, and we do not take listing fees at all to protect our users from bad listings. And these are all geared towards protecting our users and gaining their trust. And I think this is our best and biggest advantage.
Okay. So you can do spot trading. And I remember I went to your traders VIP dinner last year, and there was actually quite quality, very, I met a lot of very experienced traders there.
Yeah. So yeah, what's your insights in the crypto market and its future?
Yeunjin?
Oh, pardon, could you repeat the question again?
Well, what's your insights on crypto market and its future?
I think crypto and blockchain are meaningful because they function as both as an alternative asset and also as an alternative computing platform. Just like we go through trade-offs and take different approaches when we design software systems for different usage, I think there can be a dominant blockchain for each application. So it won't be like Highlander, the movie, where it says there can be only one. And I don't think there's an asset better than Bitcoin at this point. It went through a test of time and its protocol proved to be extremely resilient against hot forks and other changes. So I just hope to see it function as well as it does right now, like even in 22nd century. And for devs to have real value, we need a working and usable public hosting blockchain platform, and it should require minimal human intervention, just like Bitcoin. Humans are intrinsically fallible, and any protocol that depends on them behaving correctly will eventually fail. So if such platform is impossible, then I think blockchain revolution will be just left with only half success with financial applications. And no matter what happens in the future, I think garbage coins will be just purged.
Mm-hmm. But do you know Yeunjin, Wang Chun is actually one of the biggest OGs, I think from China, but also in the Bitcoin community.
So?
So probably has many Bitcoins. Sorry, Chun, go ahead.
Yeah, I only started to buy back. I almost sold all my Bitcoin 2 years ago. And yeah, so next maybe for Terra, and I just, we are as staking provider, we follow Terra project pretty closely. And in your opinion, what makes Terra different from other stablecoins like Tender, like MakerDAO?
Sure. So stablecoins is a pretty, niche category within crypto itself. But if you really think about, traditional markets, it's essentially, monetary equivalents, right? So it's basically mediums for different types of things. So I think when the stablecoin industry first got started, like most of the use cases were centered around exchange arbitrage, and that's sort of what gave Tether its claim to fame. But I think different stablecoins are now focusing on different things. So you have, Tether, which solves the instability problem in exchange trading. You have USDC, Paxos, Gemini Dollar that solves the sort of the shadiness problem of Tether. You have MakerDAO that solves the centralization problem of these existing stablecoins. For us, the approach that we take is that we try to design stablecoins that are viable for usage in a commercial setting. So for example, a lot of our mechanism design questions are centered around like, how would we use this for a specific use case? So for example, all of our stablecoins are swappable with each other on chain without the need for a counterparty. So you can trade against the protocol while paying only 25 basis points away from the mid price. So what that means is that you can enable sort of international payments, for instance, whereby you accept payments in multiple different types of currencies, and then the merchant can get settled in one currency within one block time, which is 6 seconds. So, different features like that, but the way that we've designed the stack from the bottom up is so that a lot of people can use it for use cases in payments, use cases in savings. So I think that's some of the ways in which we differ a little bit for incumbent stablecoins.
And also, I know Terra is also not just a support Green One, but also a bunch of other currencies. How do you compare this with the vision of Libra?
Sure. So I think there are elements which overlap significantly, and I think there are elements that are a little bit different. So Libra, for instance, is mainly geared towards usage in payments across Facebook's family of different services like Instagram, WhatsApp, and then so on and so forth. We have a little bit more of a commerce background, so most of the team doesn't come from social, but it comes from retail and e-commerce. So we think we understand that landscape a little bit better, especially in Asia, than what the Libra team might do. And we also work on lots of different financial primitives besides just payments itself. So for example, recently we've started work on something called Anchor. So it's a really interesting asset class or savings protocol that's built on proof of stake that can offer low volatility, high interest rates for the next generation of DeFi. So it's, you know, more research driven, you know, more commerce originating.
Yeah, and they're having some. We mentioned that Facebook can deliver, and a lot of concern over privacy. Facebook, and I also download Chai app and try it a little bit around, you know, the supermarkets, and I found that there's a blocky product thing called Chai Scan, and you can see all the transactions every user on the network. So, how do you think is its impact on data protection and privacy?
Yeah, so I think the short answer is we haven't fully figured it out yet. So the motivation, so Chai Scan isn't something that the team built internally. One of our validators put in the time and the effort to build the service from ground up. But what's kind of interesting is that as if you view Chai as sort of a proprietary business, launching something like Chai Scan makes absolutely no sense because it can give strategic insights, you know, and pretty much you hand over all the data that's happening in the payment network to competitors. Like POS, KakaoPay is definitely a competitor. So, but if you view it in terms of infrastructure over which, you know, users have ownership over the network, then in that case, I think it's like a no-brainer to offer transparency in everything that's happening in the system. Now, a couple of problems that we have to solve are things like, you know, protecting data of our merchants, for instance. So in a lot of our merchants, we have a double-digit penetration in terms of the payment transactions that go through their platforms. So in that case, not only does this become an issue of our data, but merchants themselves would be exposing their transaction metrics by working with Chai. So that's something that they're a little bit sensitive about. So we are thinking about a few solutions by which we can protect privacy of merchants a little bit better, but likely it's going to be, you know, a work in progress and a dialogue that we have to continue over the next few years.
Data privacy is a very big issue, a problem. And I would like to also mention, actually Chai has like 1.5 million users are using Chai, and also monthly active users actually maybe 500,000. And that's quite impressive to see really mass adoption for blockchain project. So Chun, continue.
Yeah. So next, maybe I have a couple of questions for Joseph. And what kind of problem Klaytn trying to solve?
Well, I think there are 4 problems for the blockchain industry. The first problem is that blockchain projects, they cannot get users. So we try to solve this problem by having Clip, which is the digital wallet in the KakaoTalk Messenger. We also work with Samsung Electronics to launch Samsung Galaxy Klaytn phone that you can find in Korea. And we also work with our governance council members. Many of them, they have a lot of users. Putting all together, we have access to 700 million potential users all over the world. There is another problem for many blockchain applications. It is their user interface is not user-friendly at all. But for us, in our Clip digital wallet, there is no need to memorize any private key, no need to memorize any public key, or even your wallet address. You can just send your token to your friends on KakaoTalk in a few clicks, just like sending a message to your friend. And the third problem of blockchain industry is that we have a lack of real life use cases. In order to solve this problem, we are working very closely with our governance council members. One of them, SNS, they has just recently launched an IP authentication services on our Klaytn blockchain. We also have plans to work with other big game companies in our governance council to launch NFT tokens and NFT games and other blockchain applications. We are also in talk with some airlines and other service industries on blockchain mileage, blockchain coupons, for example. The last problem that I think is the scalability problem. So for example, some blockchains, they're just too slow. In order to solve this problem, we are targeting 1 second confirmation for our mainnet. And actually, we can reach up to 7,000 TPS per second. I believe for this speed, it's enough for many blockchain applications.
Talking of TPS, I remember yours. Before yours launched, they claimed that 3,000 TPS, but then still we see yours today. Not much going on. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm actually a believer of level 2 solutions, but anyway, yes. I heard that Bitcoin, I heard that Korea is promoting use of blockchains, and what are the major industries you think benefit from this trend the most?
Yes, you're correct. Korea has been very active in promoting some key industries for what we call the fourth industrial revolution. So these industries include blockchain, AI, and we have seen many use cases of blockchains in Korea. For example, like the central banks in US and China, Korea is also researching the use of CBDC. Given that Korea has one of the world's fastest internet speed and we have a very high internet penetration rate here, I expect Korea will make more progress in the blockchain space more quickly than other countries in Asia. And also many Korean conglomerates like Chun, they are also preparing to use the blockchains to provide different kind of services. And we have seen big Korean companies to provide BID or identification services. And we are in talk with them to explore potential opportunities to provide BID services to our users as well. In the game industry, many Klaytn partners, they are actually developing blockchain games. Currently, there is substantial transaction costs when you want to buy or sell traditional game items. But with blockchain technologies, this kind of transaction costs can be reduced very substantially. And recently, some Korean banks, they are actually preparing to launch digital asset custodian services. With the launch of Klaytn, our digital wallet and those digital asset custodian services by banks in Korea, I expect better recognition and organic growth in the digital asset space in Korea.
Thank you. Actually, I read something also yesterday. It's a question to you all in Korea. So I don't know if you noticed these days, there's a Korean stock exchange, not exchange, stocks soaring these days, like 1,300%, something like that. And the people are saying like stocks are overvalued and Bitcoin undervalued. And do you guys have any opinion to share about this Korean stocks?
I mean, so like if you look at like the entirety of the equities market in Korea and you summed up all the value of all the publicly traded equities, it's less than Apple's market cap. There's some pretty structural reasons why the equities market in Korea can't take off. So for example, whenever the market gets super volatile, the government, steps in and changes the rules. Like 33% or more of the entire market cap is consumed by one company, which is Samsung Electronics. So, it's kind of like what the difference between like trading in US equities versus Korean equities, I guess is similar to like, I don't know, trading at Coinbase or like trading at like a very small exchange, let's say MYKEY.
Yeah,
yeah, sure, Baek, please.
Yeah, I definitely agree with though, and we've been seeing that recent past 5-10 years that we're seeing more unicorns coming out of Asia. And I think this problem is shared by many of the Southeast Asian countries and Korea as well, that public markets are not big enough for these unicorns to go public or not efficient enough for them to stay there. And many times we see them go to Delaware or London Stock Exchange or Hong Kong and other options. So for Hash, we internally actually started working on building a private shares market. I think this trend, we've seen it in the US as well with the LTSE and EquityZen. We believe there's more inefficiency in Asia, especially in Korea, that we want to allow for wider range of investors to participate in that growth of private companies before IPO or before them leaving out of our Korean domestic markets.
Interesting. I also noticed it's unlike other countries, you have like a wallet or whatever. In Korea, it looks like people don't use wallet. People just trust exchanges. Even the exchanges got hacked, but still people put all their assets just in exchange, which is also interesting because in other countries probably you see some software, some wallet or like hardware wallet, but it looks like in Korea like there's no market for wallet either, kind of like that, right?
Yeah, and also my new phone comes with an app called Samsung Blockchain Wallet, and my friend told me that you can safely keep your Bitcoin and crypto there, because if they lose it, and then you can sue them.
We wonder how, but anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for talking to Chun. So I have actually invited a few dying guests to talk to you as well, since everyone's still keen to learn more about crypto in Korea. So our first dying guest is Ricky from MYKEY Wallet. Hi, Ricky, are you here already? Hi, Ricky.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. This is Ricky from MYKEY Lab. So happy here to meet all your guests. Thanks, Yama organized the amazing talk. Yeah, thank you. That's so amazing project. I'm a bit nervous. Yeah, so many amazing projects here. First, let me introduce us a bit. MYKEY is a multiple chain smart wallet based on KID protocol. We think blockchain currently is still very complicated for end users, for people in general to use. So our vision is to help users very easy to get a blockchain account and to lower the barrier for end users to use blockchain applications through this account. For example, we can help users recover their account when they lost their device through the social recovery mechanism through the smart contract. And for the resource management in US, we offer free account for every user. Users do not care about CPU, RAM, net, so complicated things. For Ethereum, users can transfer ERC20 tokens without hold ETH as a gas. So we are very easy to use. We already got around 200,000 users with 1 year. By the way,
excited to hear more about MYKEY Wallet.
Yeah, everyone can download it. By the way, for today's topic, we already launched MYKEY in Korea market with Korean language, and we can download it in Google Play Store, Samsung Galaxy Store, Apple Store. If you are interested, you can download it. Then today my job is to ask some questions to Chun. Chun, nice to meet you. I know you are focusing on a very popular staking project, is a Stakefish. Yeah, you are a very famous OG in blockchain history. Yeah, I'm very respect you. And we see, my question is, we see that many exchanges have joined the POS staking business. More and more, the centralized exchange will aggregate users' tokens, and then they form a cartel alliance. My question is, in your opinion, will it destroy the security expectation of the public chain network? And is there any differences between this kind of staking solution and the what you familiar is the BTC computer power being controlled by a few top tier mining pools? Is there some differences? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think soon if we don't take care about this, we'll be maybe in trouble. Exchange not just trying to onboard POS staking their tokens, but if you check what Huobi, OKEX, and most recently Binance, what they do, Binance even trying to jump on the mining, the Bitcoin mining. So they just launched a Bitcoin mining pool and slowly take part of the pie. So I think for POS and POW right now we are facing the same challenge, and only say that I think probably will be a real problem. There's no way to stop exchange from staking in POS networks, and they also have a lot of advantage come to mining because they have almost unlimited of money, and they can offer miners very low or even zero fee for a long time because they don't have to survive from this mining reward. And this staking centration is indeed similar to mining and to top mining pools. It's in the last couple of months, this trend is quite obvious, and if you that's why in the beginning of this talk I said only yesterday I checked we were still on #1, but I'm not sure how it's like today. So yeah, so this space is changing so fast, and mining pools do not have much power as people believe, since miners they can easily leave from one pool to another, and exchange that if you make a comparison, like exchange can also make any mistake or staking, people just simply leave. But if exchange to control both staking, mining, and also exchange, staking and mining is working on the lower level of blockchain, how blockchain works, and with enough staking power or mining power, you can potentially roll back the network, just like what some exchange try to do. And fortunately, back then that exchange could not do it because they didn't have enough mining power. But if everything, mining, staking, and also exchange come to a single entity, then I hope it won't happen.
So Chun, just by the way, updating you, Afterpool is still like #1 in hash rate.
Oh, really? That's
still #1. Congratulations. So okay, so really thank you, Ricky and Chun. So hi, Ricky, thank you. Thank you for coming to say hello and ask your question. So next, I will be welcoming our new friend, Wang, partner of TokenInishgt, to ask your question. Hi, Wang, are you here yet? Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wang.
Hi, Wang. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm in Beijing, but I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to meet you guys here, and I'm Wang, partner of TokenInishgt. I don't know whether you've ever heard of us. This is us, TokenInishgt, and we are a token rating and research company, and we also do have asset management business. Yeah, that's pretty enough about us. And if you are interested, you can go and check our website, which is www.tokeninishgt.com. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Yama told me that won't say too much about ourselves.
Try to be brief.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Yama.
Thanks. So you may ask your question.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I do have a question for Terra and for Duo. By the way, I like your name, Du. It's a cool name.
It's Stowe.
Stowe. It's actually pronounced Stowe.
Sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm pretty interested in crypto payment area actually, and I do have a question for that. We all know that in crypto space, many crypto payment projects and companies or institutions, and also stable coins are coming out. For example, most of the big exchanges are issuing their own stable coin, and other institutions, even government, and like Singapore, Canada, are also, some of them are already did it. So they are all considering issuing their own stable coins. And since you are a payment project, so what do you see the future of the payment industry and the differences between those different stable coins and payment projects? It's kind of broad, but yeah, that's my question.
Sure. So I think it's going to move in a couple of different directions. So number one, I think most crypto payment platforms have been satisfied with, you know, just basically getting the minimal viable product of payments, right? So i.e. you can top up Bitcoin into this card and you can pay for things and we'll give you a cashback. Or like, like you can pay directly with Bitcoin, or we have a remittance solution, which is basically sending money from one wallet to another.
Yes.
But I think things are going to start to get a little bit more sophisticated. So for example, like USD stablecoin is not stable in the eyes of somebody who's living in Indonesia, for instance, right? Because they've never even paid anything with USD before, let alone a USD pegged stablecoin. So I think you're going to see scenarios where stability is defined in the context in which the payment app is being used. So we think there's going to be, you know, multiple different stablecoins that are each pegged to different types of fiat currency. I think where infrastructure is going to start to get interesting is how you sort of, at the same time, while preserving the local fiat pegs of different countries, how you start to allow these different environments to interoperate. So for instance, like,
regulation.
Well, depending on the type of business, right? So for example, like Guilds sells merchandise in, let's say, 60 different countries, but they're not effectively regulated by the countries in which they sell merchandise, right? Because it's just fashion, right? So like a couple $100 here and there, like even if it violates like custom duty or like capital controls, that's not an area that regulators spend a lot of time thinking about. But for guilds, like international placement and settlement is something that's very expensive, goes up to 7 to 9%. So for example, they have to accept payments in, let's say, dozens of different currencies, but because they belong to Saks Fifth Avenue, which is a US domiciled business, they have to be settled in USD. So in terms of that conversion cost, you know, cost starts to build up. And then, you know, besides just B2C payments and B2B, if you look at supply chains, usually the production happens across multiple different countries. But at the same time, every time that you pay vendors that are outside of your country, FX costs start to build up as well. So I think you're going to start to see very sophisticated models that tap into use cases that traditional payment services can't touch today.
So do you think, can I ask one more question, a very, very brief question?
Of course.
So do you think the regulation would be the barrier for those projects or stablecoins to be massively adapted? Like, to be specific, I mean that the regulation to allow the gateway between fiat currency and cryptocurrency, because we know that, for example, in China, actually we don't have that kind of rule or regulation, so you can't do that.
We actually don't know.
Do you think
regulation?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a tricky question, but I think for a lot of innovations in crypto payments, it's not really a question of regulation at all. So for example, like the very basic case that you can tap into is settling quickly, right? So for example, like the average settlement time in Japan is 10 days, average time in Korea, 7 days. And then even for some of the newer fintech players that are coming out, it takes, you know, 3 to 5 days at least, right? But, you know, the slow settlement times is cost prohibitive for a lot of SMBs and working capital type businesses, because, for example, if you're a cab driver, then you need the sale from one day to be settled to you that day, because you need the money to buy fuel and food for your family the next day.
Yes.
Right. Or same problem persists for restaurants and so on and so forth. So if you use like a crypto settlement engine, for instance, you can settle, let's say, whatever the block time might be. So in Klaytn, I guess it can settle every second, right? So which is a far superior option from traditional payment services, where settlements happen, you know, on a day or weekly basis.
Payment is also settlement in by blockchain. Yeah, I agree.
So I think payment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, though. Okay.
Yeah, so I think payment with stablecoin is definitely a topic worth digging deeper. So we look forward to reading some quality research report about it from TokenInishgt. So thank you, Wayne. Thanks.
Thank you. We will. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
So next, our old friend, but first time on the show, Kyle from Three Arrows Capital. Are you here yet, Kyle?
I am, Yama. Thank you for having me.
First time see you here, but it's already our old friend. So why don't you just introduce a little bit about you and your fund and also ask your question?
Absolutely. Great job, by the way. The panel is fantastic so far. So Three Arrows is a regulated hedge fund based in Singapore. I founded the firm with Su Zhu 8 years ago. We started in FX markets and actually traded quite a bit of the Korean market. Used to sit on the derivative advisory board of KRX and traded quite a bit of Korean won futures there. But these days we do mainly crypto, and our strategies are market neutral futures basis trading, where we do a lot of borrow and lending, as well as some primary investment. So most notably recently, we've done Deribit, BlockFi, and a number of DeFi projects. But we're all in crypto, and we do a lot of different things across the board. So my question is, I know we haven't had enough regulatory questions, so I've got a great regulatory question. This is for Yeunjin at GOPAX. So GOPAX, it is known as a fiat crypto exchange. It's never been hacked, and it's always been erred on the side of being more compliant. And the Korean regulatory landscape is changing right now. So my question for you, Yeunjin, how does GOPAX make sure they will stay ahead of the regulation? And what do you think of the current regulatory environment in Korea?
Oh, Kyle, thanks for the question. So Korea is in the process of legalizing crypto. So crypto law passed earlier this year, and the government is drafting enforcement decree as of now. So they want to promote blockchain industry, but their major concern is making it compliant with issues like anti-money laundering, travel rule, and so on. So as vice chairman of Korea FinTech Association, our CEO Chun has been working on this matter with the regulators for a long time. And protecting our users has been our top priority, and we have been constantly taking actions to do so, such as not taking listing fees to avoid listing garbage coins and accepting bid orders few minutes after a coin listing to minimize extreme volatility shortly after listing. So this is somewhat similar to simultaneous bids and offers in stock markets. So in short, we have always tried to just do it right. And over time, more people are recognizing this, and that's including the regulators.
Okay, interesting. So do you know Kyle actually also in a few hours, both had a call with the CEO and now the CTO from GOPAX. So it's kind of like interesting. So thank you, Kyle and Yeunjin. So when trader meets engineer, what will happen? I guess we will keep it for the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. And thank you, Kyle. Thanks. Bye. So next, we'll have our old good friend, Leon from Genesis Capital. Hi, Leon. Are you here yet?
Hi, Yama. Thank you very much for having me on this really great panel. I've actually been listening in for the last, sort of half an hour or so, and have learned quite a lot. So really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us again.
So maybe just a quick intro, and it does have to be quick because what folks who listen to Yama tonight, or Crypto Tonight with Yama rather, don't realize is that Yama she tells us, make sure it's quick, go through quickly. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try and be as quick as possible. But I head the institutional sales for Genesis in EMEA and APAC, and so we're a New York-based sort of OTC broker-dealer with a lending arm. Our lending arm is the largest institutional lender in the crypto space. We recently announced plans to launch a full-service prime brokerage, which we're very proud of. A part of that is an acquisition of a UK custodian called Vault. And we're just about to open up offices in London and Singapore, dependent on how the situation with COVID goes. So that's a bit about the company. And I came into the space having met Barry Silbert, who runs DCG, and we spoke in depth about Grayscale and about Decentraland. And eventually he said, come work for us. So my question is for Baek. Hi, Baek. So really, quite honored to be able to ask a question to Hash. I've known Hash actually for quite a long time. You guys have a great media arm, so great to connect. So actually a bit similar to Kyle, my question is sort of touches on the regulation side. Now, obviously Genesis is institutional focus only, and so that's sort of the angle I'm coming from here. But in March, the sort of Korean lawmakers sort of voted to put in place new rules for virtual asset service providers. And so they required them to register with the regulator, and they also required them to have like a single bank account for withdrawals and deposits as a way of tracking assets in the ecosystem. And I think in January as well, there was a presidential committee decision that maybe regular judicial firms should be able to offer crypto derivatives in Korea. And so my question is, are these developments a sign of a wider acceptance by the government? And if that's the case, do you see that being mainly a retail-based phenomenon, or do you actually think we're going to begin to see a real institutional adoption of crypto assets in Korea?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And short answer is I think we're seeing signals in both sides. Obviously, more the impactful side, where Korean market has been one of the most focused on retail volume. But we're seeing that now finally with this regulation that came up in March, many of the institutions are moving in a direction that is hopeful for mass adoption of crypto. I mentioned this briefly in the earlier of this panel about major issue or the bottleneck of the crypto market in Korea was that crypto was not regulated as an asset, and many of the major banks often refuse to deal with these crypto or exchanges or other wallet services without any legal grounds. And I think this bill really provides that ground. And then we're working with the governors to provide details on how we should execute. And I was actually watching the news updates on the side while listening to the panel. And Upbit just announced today that they're going to reopen the new account registration with the banking routing, which has been stopped for a very long time past year due to these investigation by governments and the uncertainty of the guidance on crypto assets. So we think these are some of the starting signs of the market opening up again, both in the retail side, for them to come into this protocol economy and start experiencing decentralized services, but also for institutions to have better confidence to work with these players and have exposure to this market, which was hard to access for many of the Asian conglomerates or funds even in Korea.
Thank you. Thank you, Baek. Thank you, Leon. You are both very morning heroes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Leon. Thanks. Thank you for coming here. Bye. So I have a question for actually Joseph. So tell me one impressive things about the user to use a Click wallet. Joseph.
Sure. For one important thing, it is extremely user-friendly. Unlike other blockchain wallets, you do not need to worry about memorizing the long private key. Frankly speaking, I can't remember my own private key as well. And you don't even need to remember your own wallet address because you can send Clay to your Kakao friends, just like an instant message.
Okay, nice, interesting. No private key memorized. Nice. So thank you all. So now every guest, one very short sentence to end our show tonight. So let's start with probably you, Joseph.
Sure. In the meantime, Clip is only available to the users in Korea, but we will launch a native version of Clip, which will be made available to overseas users as well it will be a way to expand and enrich the ecosystem of Klaytn.
This is your short sentence, huh? Okay, thank you. Next, Baek, one very short sentence to end our show. Baek, you're mute.
Yeah, I think I was muted. Sorry. What was the question again? Controversial extent?
No, I said one very short sentence to end our show. One sentence.
Okay.
To tell all the whatever you want to say, but one very short sentence.
Yeah, we're seeing good signals on the market, both in the adoption and the product development. I think many of the global audiences will be surprised with some of the adoption that will happen throughout this year and next year.
Okay, thank you. Next, Yeunjin.
We're still in infant stage, so let's focus on creating value and
nice.
It's not too greedy.
Nice. Exchange is always greedy, but not GOPAX. Thank you. Next, Do. What about your one short sentence?
Oh, thank God it's Friday.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, Chun.
We don't invent new blockchains or tokens, and we never do ICO, and but we are here to serve other blockchains. And we've been securing POW blockchain since 2013 and POS blockchain since 2018. So we're happy that to serve all these blockchains. And if you have tokens, so dedicate to us, and we know staking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So from my side, I would just say salam hayo to everyone who believes trust and responsibility are much more important, especially in this tech and finance sector. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the show. I hope you all have a very nice Friday night and weekend as well. Thank you. Good night from Beijing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.